two coins here. One coin goes under the table, the other coin goes into my hand. Go to the middle of the table here, and you can hear the moment that one coin actually passes down and joins the other. Welcome to the video. If you enjoy learning magic tricks and engaging in discussions of magic, be sure to subscribe as I post about twice per week. Some of the tools I use in my videos, I have or have had a affiliate link for. I earn a commission if you purchase that through my link, and all my relevant connections will be posted at that link. Check out my merch store and my exclusive membership if you want to dive even deeper. But for now, let's get into the video. Welcome to the coins through table. For this one, you need two coins. You could do dollar size, you could do $half size, you could do quarters, you could do pocket change. Just two coins, and there's a couple cool illusions going on at play here. So the first is that you are going to kind of do some mimicry, which is going to hide the actual sleight of hand going on. So with your left hand, you're going to come over and you're going to drag this toward the edge of the table, and you're going to actually pick it up, and then you're going to hold it under the table. Okay, so right now this hand is under the table. Then when you do that for this hand, it's going to seem more natural. So you're going to come over, and what's happening on the table is you're actually going to pull it as though you're picking it up, but you're actually going to let it fall into your lap. And obviously when it does so, it won't make a sound, it'll just fall into your lap. And so when you're doing, this is called lapping. It's a technique used in many ways in magic. When you're lapping, you want to be sat under the table. It'll look natural above, but you're going to want to stick your knees together essentially so that your legs are all together, so that you mitigate the possibility of things falling all over the place or falling in between your legs, right? So you just stick your legs together, and that's just something you have secretly under the table. And for that reason, when you're doing this palming technique and you let it fall into your lap, this hand needs to be over here out of the way, and it's under the table, as in it's out of view, but it's not too far under the table, and you'll see why in a moment. So you have this here, and what you've seemed to do is take this coin under the table, and you've seemed to take this coin in your hand. So from the top again, you're going to actually do this pickup and hold it under the table. Then this is the exposed view. You're going to drop this in your lap, and you're going to take it forward. And so this conviction is very important, that you really naturally go forward with it. At this point, here's what's going to happen under the table. So you're up here on top of the table with this hand. This hand is now going to be able to go over and hold this coin. Okay, so this coin comes over to where it's been dropped and it retrieves it. So what you can do is you can actually place this coin into a classic palm, and this is what classic palm looks like. It's a squeezing of your thumb toward your pinky area, and it is a little bit of muscle memory and muscle strengthening, but allows you to kind of hold your hand like this. And in this case, it just gets this coin out of the way so that you can then hold this coin, okay? And now you're in this position. Slightly easier might be finger palm, which is to just squeeze it right here into the base of your fingers. Either way, you just need a free finger so that you can hold the coin. This is all under the table. So now when you've come over here, you want to lean forward. You can bring this under the table. So now you have both hands, both arms kind of leaning forward toward the center of the table. This helps for the drama of the effect, but it also gets you away from the edge of the table, a little bit away from the secret of what just happened. Then two things are happening at once. You're going to come down on the surface with this hand as you come from underneath with this hand, and it gives the illusion, the auditory illusion, that you're tapping the top of the table, okay? So you go together, and they're going to hear the metal of this coin. Now this table, I have this table mat here, and I also have a mat under my close-up mat. What you want to be using is a table where the sound is actually going to be hard. You want that hard sound so that when you do it from the top and the bottom, there wouldn't be a discrepancy. So even in the demonstration, I was lazy. I didn't get rid of the tablecloth. You would want a situation where you have that sound and it sounds right, okay? So from underneath, you're tapping as you go over the table. Then all you have to do is, in this kind of acting moment, you're gonna splay your fingers out on top of the table, and what you're doing underneath is pressing the coin against the table, and it's gonna give you that sound, okay? So that's the auditory sound to them that the coin has passed through. It's this really cool illusion, right? So it's gonna sound something like that from under the table. And then after that moment, an added bonus with this version of the trick that you get is that you can drop it in your hand. So they've gone from hearing click to slam to then that moment where they clink together. And then all you have to do, they know what's happened. You come over and now you see both coins in the hand. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, I wanted to tell you about the exclusive videos that I'm putting on my membership this month. At the base tier, that's the supporter tier, I'm gonna be telling you about 3 classic magic books that I think you should have in your library. Just gonna talk a little bit about each of them as well as where you can get them. And at the upper tier, this is my insider level of the membership, we're gonna be teaching tricks with coin shells. This is a classic special tool for coin magic, and I'm going to be teaching from this month's resource, Hugard's Coin Magic, covering 2 different types of sort of magic moments you can very easily create with this prop. But in our discussion, I also kind of jazzed together a little bit of a freestyle of like a 3-phase routine you can do building off the principle shared in this book. And so all that's put together in a video that I've added to the bonus tricks library, which, like I said, you have access to if you're an insider member. So check those out if you're interested. But for now, let's get back into the video. So underneath the table, once more, you're here, you clink, you press it against, and then you can drop it in the hand. Classic palm version is much the same. Press, let it go against the table, and then you just let it drop in your hand. This hand, once again, you're lapping. You come forward, you tap, you splay those fingers out. You can show the coin is gone, and the other hand will come back with the coin. And remember from the top that you want to mimic the action that you're about to do here so that it looks motivated and it looks natural, and that will kind of throw them off. That matching of the motion will help. So you come over here and you show that you've actually grabbed the coin, come over and you're just kind of in waiting under the table right here. That way, and remember your legs are kind of squeezed together. When you lap and come forward, this will look very natural. Come forward with your hands after you have grabbed this from your lap. Now you're good to go. Splay, then drop, and you are all good to go. So use this footage and then go back to the performance footage to see the choreography of how that looks. And this is great because it's completely impromptu, no gimmicks needed. How often are you just sitting at lunch or dinner, sitting with your friends or family, and if they know you're already into magic, they might ask. And it's nice to not always do a card trick. That's what I hope will be helpful from this month's videos. I love card tricks. I'm a card trick defender, but I get it. Some variety is good. And something like this feels a lot more authentic in a way, doesn't it? It feels a lot more organic and spur of the moment. You see some great coin magicians out there where they're just hanging out with their buddies and they do coin through table or they do a quick coin trick. And so I think this is really useful for that if you practice. So you make sure practice that choreography well, because there's less to hide when it comes to coins. And I think that's why it can sometimes be more impressive. People like Eric Jones talk about that idea. I've got a coin and I've got a candle. Coin and a candle. And what happens when I place this coin just over the flame for a moment, notice something starts to happen here. Tell me if you can see it here. It actually gets a little bit warmer so that I can actually sort of bend and flex it just a little bit. But if I take that a little bit further, I hold it over the heat for just a little bit longer, you see it actually vanishes completely until I cool it off when I turn out the flame. Okay, welcome to the melting coin trick. But this trick is a great case study in palming, specifically the classic palm. So you're gonna start with a lit candle. I do wish we could do this with something more like street, like a lighter, but this is one that, at least as it's displayed by Hugard, it kind of helps to have the lit flame there and this object being grabbable, and you're able to set it down. That kind of all helps, so it is what it is. So you're gonna have this lit, so obviously be careful with fire. Kids should do this with adult supervision or help. I'm not responsible, all those things, but you have a coin and a candle that's gonna be lit. And here is the palm that's used. So you're going to be using classic palm. So classic palm, you go from here and you're gonna squeeze your fingers in so that they press into the hand, and then you're gonna squeeze from your thumb, kind of the base pad of your thumb, into sort of this area below the pinky, okay? And this is a knack, and it's just a move you practice. So even before learning tricks with it, just walk around with a coin all day, and while you're waiting in line for something, or you're just out and about, stick your hand in your pocket and practice getting into and out of classic palm, okay? And so this position, it leaves you in a pretty natural look where your fingers are free, not to really display your hand empty so much, but it really makes it nice to grab things, right? So you can grab a magic wand, you can grab a pen, you can grab another coin. In this case, you can grab a candle, okay? And so that's the central secret, is this classic palm. But then the choreography makes this a full trick. So you have this candle lit here, and what you're going to do is you're going to actually act as though you're doing classic palm, and you're just going to actually place the coin into the other hand. And so squeeze the coin in as you go up here, and then just dump it into the other hand. So you're going to make it look like you're classic palming it, and you just place it into the other hand, and that is some nice mimicking action so that it'll look natural later, okay? So you place it in the other hand, come over to the flame, and you're holding it, once again, you're holding it where it will actually not be in the future. So this all sets up the psychology for later. So you're kind of holding it in this pinching position, like here, and hold it over the flame. Don't hurt yourself, don't burn yourself, but just hold it over the flame for a moment. And you're gonna act like, and you're gonna say to the audience that as you hold it over the flame, the coin is actually gonna start to melt and get a little bit malleable. And so there's two illusions you can do here. One is from the front, and your thumbs are holding from behind, and as you just push forward and backward, what's gonna happen is your fingers are going to display and then hide more of the coin, so that in motion, it's hard to capture from here, but in motion it's gonna look like it's bending. And then you can do that same idea from here, where your thumbs are on the side. And again, it's the same illusion. Your thumbs peel back, your thumbs come in. So it's not bending at all. But even in my hand, I almost feel like I'm bending it. You see that illusion? And so it's just a little bit, it's just a little gag, but you might get a little bit of like, whoa, from the person watching. And so it's just a lead in, but it's still a nice visual, even if they're not convinced, right? But you can kind of show them like, it's starting to bend a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit malleable. And then you can kind of like wave it off as though you're cooling it off. And you're gonna say, what happens if I make it a little hotter? And so as you're explaining that, you can kind of toss between the hands, and then you're gonna go into your actual classic palm position. So you curl in, you classic palm, and you act like you're dumping it into this hand. So you come over here, and motion, the coin masters will tell you, motion is really helpful, right? As you follow along with the coin, and you just need to get really good at this acting here, where you come over, classic palm it, your open fingers dump into this hand catches it. And another thing to practice is the weightiness of it, right? Where you come over and get the weight of it. And then you can come into this position where you're pretending to hold it over the flame. And the great way that Hugard choreographed this is that now you have the excuse to pick up the candle and hold it over the candle like this. So this is your position. Angle wise, obviously you can't hold this out toward them. You're gonna have to angle it in toward yourself. So you might even turn to the side a little bit, and that'll make this your good angle here. You wanna be aware of what would be your inner angle of this hand. You hold it over the flame, and then you can show that it's actually completely gone invisible. So you can say it's gone invisible and hold it, or you can say it's vanished completely because it's melted out of existence. So you can let that beat hold for a moment, and then you're going to transfer here and immediately go into this sort of downward holding where you're about to pluck the coin out. And what's really cool is you can blow the flame out, and as you blow the flame out, you just drop this into your fingers and let it display and come forward through the smoke. So that's the really cool thing about using a flame, is that you're explaining like, hey, if we cool it down, let's get rid of the flame. You let that smoke rise, and watch back the performance video. It looks really cool when the coin just comes forward, and all I'm doing is just kind of retrieving it with my fingers or dropping it into my fingers. So just get practiced using the classic palm and getting it out of classic palm, and you'll get comfortable, and then you can just draw it forward and you get this really cool display of the coin. So the only way to make this more modern and not need a candle sitting around is to not use this kind of lighter. This is a Bic lighter, but you could use a Zippo lighter, because then you could actually have the Zippo sitting with the flame up, right? So the Zippo is there, the flame is going, you do your little illusion, and then you can go into your classic palm and hold it over and make it vanish. Only problem is, to my knowledge, let me know if I'm wrong, but can I guess you can blow it out, you just won't get that same smoke, right? So you're kind of in the same tricky position, but if you wanted to, a little more impromptu, you could just say like, I put the flame out, you don't get the smoke, but you can then still rematerialize it. So you just have that one knock against it, but that is something you can do. If you're not sitting at someone's house or at home, you can still apply this to a more street or casual performance. And obviously only take out a lighter and use it where it would be appropriate to do so. I've got 4 coins here, 4 coins and 2 genuinely empty hands, 4 coins, 2 empty hands, and a deck of cards, but I'm only going to use, well, you're probably used to seeing 4 cards being used. That way the magician can cover all the sneaky things happening. But I wanted to give myself a little bit of a challenge, so I'm actually going to get rid of 2 of the cards. I do still get to use 2, but you see the challenge here. I can only ever cover up to 2 coins at a time, no matter where I choose to put the cards. Now, I could cover less than 2, if that makes sense. So I could cover 2 in this example, but I could also just cover 1 if I put it over here. But if I want to cover as much as I can, I only get up to 2. Does that make sense? So here's how the experiment works. I'm going to take a coin and place it inside my right pocket here, just right there. Snap my fingers, and a coin ends up under the card. That's what the card still covers, is the magic moment that it appears underneath. But I'll do it again. Empty hand, take the coin, place it inside my right hand pocket, snap the fingers, and somehow it ends up underneath. Now, you really know what to look for now, so I'll let you see this moment. We'll get to that last coin, but actually, I already have, and it's already sitting under card. Welcome to this really cool version of a coin and card matrix. For starters, you're going to display the 4 coins, and you're going to have a deck of cards, and you can explain how a magician would maybe usually cover all 4 coins with all 4 cards, but you're going to make it harder on yourself, and you're going to only use 2. You can, of course, just come out with the 2, but I think that is already an interesting hook if you want to present it that way. Now, this trick, like a lot of coin matrices, it helps to have like a soft surface underneath. Actually, the way Hugard taught it was with a handkerchief or a napkin, something like that. It just helps when you are dropping a coin down for it to not be heard. He also actually uses the handkerchief in his choreography, but I've kind of streamlined that for this version. So your secret move is going to come in when you go over these cards. So you kind of can cover these 2, and you're explaining how you can only cover 2 at a time, cover these 2, and then at some point you're going to cross these over when you are explaining how you can only cover 2. You're going to cross over and say, I can only cover 2 at a time. And then as you're doing that, you're going to come over here and you're just going to pick this up with your thumb. It's very easy to do. Just pick it up with your thumb. Okay, so under cover, you're picking it up with your thumb, but you're keeping your hand here on the front. And then you're going to have to bring this card over and bring this card over with the coin. And so presentationally, I had an idea of what you could say, which is, now I could cover just 1 coin at a time if I just put both cards down, but I'm gonna cover 2 at a time, and we'll see what we can do. So that allows you some reason for the different choreography. It's a quick moment as well, so it's something that you can do swiftly as well if you'd like. One thing to note, whenever you're putting coins down, it can accidentally clink against the other coin if you're not careful. So it's helpful to put it down where you know it won't clink against it, and then if that coin is showing, you can just hide it underneath or rotate this card depending on where the coins end up. So you obviously want to avoid letting people know that there's an extra coin there. And one thing to note, even pushing this in can create a clink noise, so you just want to be extra careful. So you've placed your cards down, and now here's the moment where Hugard was doing some play with like hiding the coin under the handkerchief. It shows up here, and that's kind of the sequence. To make it easier, we can just do what we do in other coin tricks and like cup and ball tricks, which is to just pretend to put it in your pocket. So you come over and you're going to put it in your pocket, and you can use either just a straight up finger palm or something a little bit more technical if you'd like. So just a straight up finger palm, you show it in your fingers, and as you come to place it in, you can stick your thumb on it as you pretend to put it in, and then you can go back into a finger palm like this, and you kind of have a Ramsey subtlety, so that then when you pick up this card, you can go straight under it with finger palm, pinch it here, and go back down. Okay, that'll be the loading sequence. So with just a finger palm, you say, I'm gonna place this coin in my pocket. You go to put it in your pocket like this, but you just don't get rid of it. Get back into finger palm, and you're gonna do your reveal here, which brings heat off of how this hand is being held. As you show the first reveal, they'll look at it, and that gives you the moment to get into this position. You can go from here. The slightly more technical way is basically all the same, but we're gonna do a classic palm, which you do by going into your palm with those two fingers from here. You go into your palm with the coin. You're almost in sort of a Spider-Man position here, and you're gonna squeeze it like this. Now, classic palm can be a knacky position to get into, so that's just something to practice, is can you get a coin into this position? It's gonna take some muscle development, some muscle memory, but eventually you'll be able to get comfortable, and you can kind of have this position here. Now, classic palm on its own doesn't really look good unless it's in context with maybe holding an object, right? And so in this case, we're able to show the coin, come over into classic palm, stick our hand down in our pocket, and then we're able to pinch our pocket and show that you've placed it in your pocket. Then you can drop it back down into finger palm when you reveal here and you come over. So just an option for you. It can make it look a little more natural if you'd like. Regardless, you are now in a flow, this kind of one ahead flow where you're able to load a coin here, do the same thing again. So you're going to do the same thing twice, where you take the coin, you put it in your pocket, you snap, do a reveal, go back to finger palm, load the last coin, and now you're here. So because you've done this whole one ahead sequence, you're able to make this kind of a nice final surprise, which is to just immediately show that it's gone. It's kind of a quick, like, oh, you didn't even put it in your pocket this time. You can even say, like, to do the last one, actually it's already there. And that just provides a nice little surprise. So let's run back through that real quickly. Remember to have a soft surface. Presentationally, you can have a full deck and then explain how, you could use 4 cards, but we're just gonna use 2. You're gonna move through covering each of these, cross your hands, come over here as you're pinching under with this hand, and you can presentationally explain that you could only cover 1 if you'd like to use that presentation, and then you're gonna cross over. So regardless of what you say, make sure you come over, cross over, make sure not to clink these together as you put it down. You get into position, and then you go into the sequence, and you're gonna do the same thing 2 times. Place in the pocket, reveal, finger palm, pinch, place down, same thing, in the pocket, classic palm if you'd like, snap, point attention here, reveal, finger palm, pinch. It's totally okay if you need to adjust these coins, by the way, place it down, get everything in position. And at this point, clinking is okay because there are multiple coins to their knowledge. And then you can do that surprise final dust away. You can really make that like, whoa, all the coins have gone there. I've got a penny here, and this is a coin that could be signed. And I've also got a stack of business cards here, and what I've done is I've just folded one of them so that I can create this nice sort of little pouch for the coin. So I'll show you what it looks like inside, almost like a kangaroo's pouch. It can go down inside the business card just like that, as you can see. And now what I could actually do is have you hold and pinch this yourself, so there's no way anything could happen to it, except for the fact that something already has. It's completely vanished from the business card actually, until I want to bring it back. Welcome to this cool coin vanish. This particular trick you can do with a piece of paper. You could also do it with a dollar bill, although there is some cutting and gluing or taping involved in this. This is basically like a little gimmick you can have on you. You can do it with a playing card, but to mix it up, I wanted to use a business card in this case. And it's always great if you are a working performer or if you're trying to get gigs, if you have a business card that you can actually do a trick with, that's always helpful. So all you have to do is cut a portion of one business card or dollar bill or playing card, whatever it is, and it's going to be taped to a normal one that you then fold. Now in this case, I taped just this side. I believe in Hugard, he had it taped on this side and on this side, so that then you have more the idea of a pocket. But because this business card is so stiff, I didn't want to get stuck where it was too difficult, but you can do that. But this would be the idea, is that you have a literal pouch that this can then go into. So you have that taped on the business card, and you can do what you prefer in terms of folding. I have it pre-folded, but if you want it to seem more organic, you can just have this business card not folded, secretly prepped. And what you'd have to do is display it this way so that they only see the front, and you just fold along the line. If you do it backwards, that might actually help you. And then you can fold it forwards so that whenever they see it from the front, because of the fold, they won't really be able to tell that there is an extra piece here. Okay, so you're gonna look for this to be the image. And you notice that I have it not perfectly square. This allows for this image where you have the coin kind of sticking up. So the illusion is that it's gonna look like it's going into here, right? But because you have this extra sleeve, it's gonna secretly be able to come out. So display the coin, have it signed. You might have more than one business card out just so that this looks like it's, you know, not special, it's amongst the others, and that you have one that you're gonna fold up. And then as you put the coin in, I would have this toward you briefly, just briefly. You're gonna display it in a second, but this just allows you the freedom to make sure you get it in that pouch. Now, if you don't have it open like this, you can do more of like a squeeze method. And if you've kind of prepped your card to open up for you in that way, it might be easier than when you're in performance for it to kind of have that pouch ready for you. That way you can place it in right here. And now it is in the secret compartment, as you can see right there. So it's not actually gonna fall in between the fold, it's actually gonna fall out the other side. But this allows you to show what you're doing, that you have it there, and you can even stick it in all the way as you're showing them. The only angles you have to worry about are holding it too far forward where they would end up seeing, you see it just fell out so easily. You don't want them to see that extra piece of card, so that's the only bit of angle you need to worry about. But once you've placed it in and shown them, you can then let it slide in, and you want to show them that you've just slid it right in. You really want them to see that moment that it's in between and you slide it in, and you're just going to pinch for now so that it doesn't fall all the way through. Come over with this hand and keep pinching, and now you're going to hold it here, and you're going to be basically ready for a finger palm in your, for me this is my subordinate hand because I'm left-handed, but hold it wherever is comfortable for you. You still have it pinched, and now you're going to gesture for them to hold their hand out, and this is the critical moment. As you have them hold their hand out, all you have to do is loosen this a little bit. You see how easy that is? You just loosen your hand, and that's going to fall into your finger palm position, and we have this perfect display of the pouch, and it's going to look the same to them. You have this now, and you just hold it in your finger palm. That's where you curl your fingers in, and you just kind of hold your hand naturally. You can place this in their hand. You can have them place their other hand on top. At this point, you have this coin. You can place it in your pocket. If you have coin to wallet or any other magic props on the market, you can load it at this point. But for an impromptu, you can just stick it in your pocket. Now you have all the focus here. You have them lift their hand, and you can display that the coin is completely gone. Now this side is going to be completely clean in terms of showing them it's not inside that pouch anymore. If you want to show the other side of the card, depending on your object that you chose, obviously you can see how that would be discrepant. So you might do like a quick display. You also could, this is a little subtlety, fold it inward a little bit and show, but that might be overdoing it in terms of choreography. They might think, why are you being weird in that way, right? So I think just a quick display might work for you, but you want to examine the object. You know, if it's a dollar bill, it might be easier because the dollar bill hides a lot. In this case, there might need to be a quicker display. In any case, holy cow, you have just made a coin vanish in their hand from their hand. That's pretty cool. And of course, you can then reveal where that coin went. And depending on the size of the secret compartment, you don't just have to do a penny. It's really just going to depend on how much leeway the size of your compartment allowed. So when it's pocket change, maybe you want to do a quarter or a dime if you want to go smaller. And then if you do that, what you can do is you can have the audience sign this coin. It can be their signature. And if you want to make it fun, before you get to this part where you put it in, on the clean side, you can have them draw something here. So maybe you have them sign this and you say, hey, in the middle, would you draw like a circle for me and fill it in? You have them do that. And this is a presentation I've seen for many other tricks as well. You have them do that. You fold this up. You do this. Now look at all this. You have all these things that are signed. Have them hold your hand out so that you can get access to the coin and pocket it. And then when you place this in their hand and they have their hand on top, you can have them do this kind of imaginal where imagine that drawing they made is actually a black hole and that coin is going to be whisked away somewhere. So now you've kind of motivated and also you've involved them, and this has the feeling of authenticity to it where they know nothing is going on weird here and they have signed this. So now as well, when they open their hand, you can show both sides like this. That's another note to make, as well as before you show the opening. This can kind of prove once again that there's nothing on the other side. And then you open up, there's no coin, there's just the black hole. And now you can then draw all attention to the coin in the pocket or wherever you loaded it to. Now, one thing to note with that is that since you did have this signed in this version of it, if you make this too special, maybe they'll want to see it again. Whereas when it was unsigned, just generic, you might get away with, you know, moving on, and then you can have a folded one to switch in. And because they didn't sign it, might be easier. But all things to consider, there's the pros and cons in all cases. But if you want it to be completely clean at the end, just fold up another business card that doesn't have anything attached, and you can switch that in just by when you go to the pocket and you have them verify that that's their signature. Go south with this, put it in your pocket, wait a beat, and then just kind of casually take it out and leave it on the table. And there you go. It's not slight free, but it really takes the pressure off, and yet it doesn't feel too contrived. If anything, it makes it feel more fair, like you're putting it into something that you can't get into. Welcome to Coin Mentalism. Now I'm teaching this from Gene Hugard's Coin Magic book, but in his book, this was a 2-trick sequence. The first trick I found kind of interesting was kind of a witch hand effect. So I'm just going to throw that in here real quick. You're going to have the spectator hold a coin in their hand and secretly place it in one of their hands while you're not looking. You can turn completely away, in fact. And then they're going to hold it in whatever hand they've chosen, and you're just going to instruct them to hold the hand with the coin in it up to their forehead, up against their forehead, and think to themselves, the coin is in my right hand, the coin is in my right hand, or the coin is in my left, whichever it is, to think and say it in their head 10 times. And so they're going to do that, and then they're going to bring it back down. And Gene Hugard said the idea would be that one palm would be paler than the other palm. Now, I've done some experimentation with this, and I'm just not sure how surefire that will be. So I'm throwing it in as a bonus here. He uses that as a lead-in to this trick that I'm going to be teaching, but I did still want to share with you the principle because I think it's kind of an interesting idea for an impromptu witch hand effect. So try it out on yourself and let me know what you think. Does it work on you? Do you feel like your one palm is paler than the other when you do that? But for this 3-cup trick, you just need 1 coin and 3. He actually used matchbox drawers. For me, these are the tops to some spice bottles, like spice containers that I have. You really can use just like 3 identical covers of any kind, and you don't actually have to use 3 coins. But for my sake, these make noise, and so I feel like it would be more fooling to someone if, you know, everything that you shake is making noise, because it would be obvious otherwise. And this is the actual secret Hugard used. You're gonna get a piece of tape, So just something like this, a small piece of tape. And this was, honest to goodness, what he used. He said to use a real human hair. You actually probably can't even see mine on film unless you look really closely. And you're gonna tape that human hair to where it is sticking out from the coin. Can you see that there? So that's a very subtle version. I have blonde hair and I didn't pluck this out. You know, this is just in the dust lying around. I know it's kind of weird or gross to talk about, but like you can just find it. So I just looked around, got some dust. I see some hairs around. I also have a pet in this household, so who knows whose hair, you know, amongst me, my wife, and my pet. So anyway, I know that's weird to talk about, but that was literally, that's his secret, is to grab a human hair and to tape it to the back so that it would be sticking out. Now this example I just plucked out of random might be a little too short, but that's what you would want to experiment with, is that it's sticking out far enough to where you will be able to see it. And it's important that it's visible even when covered. So here I've just done it again with a slightly longer one, so that now, place it underneath, it is sticking out the back of the cup. So now the idea is that if you turn your back, they can put it under any cup and they can move these cups around, and it's very subtle, but you'll be able to see this. This is why I like putting coins under the other ones as well, because you might need to unhide it, right? It's not guaranteed, at least in my version with these cups, it's not guaranteed that that hair will be sticking out, but now it is. So that's the principle, but you definitely want to experiment and try this out yourself at home. Get your 3 cups or Matchbox drawers, whatever it is, try out a couple hairs, or of course you can also use like threads, as long as they are kind of thin enough. You're looking for that fine line between being hard for them to discern, but still you being able to tell if you were looking at it. And then you'd want to experiment mixing them around. Mix around the coins as someone else would, imagining that you've turned your back, and then see if you're able to get that thread to still be visible to you. So that's the first part that's important. The other part that's important is to find that right surface you're going to work on. So if you're in a situation where everything is bright and you have like a white tablecloth underneath you, that might not be the most helpful unless there's some texturing that could hide it, right? So yeah, it is this kind of fine line between you being able to see it and others not being able to see it. So that's the principle as Hugard shared it. There's other technology and methods on the market that use this principle of you just need a mark on this somehow that you'll be able to see that others won't. But that's how he shared it, and that's how he kind of put this kind of 1-2 punch of mentalism together, where you have the witch hand effect, and then you're able to go into this as a follow-up if you'd like. I believe he recommended having like another coin where it's detached, or even removing this for it to be examined. But I think if you're using tape and not like, you know, wax or something else like that, that would be removable. I think it makes more sense to just have a coin to switch in. But there you go. Thought it was a pretty fun principle to share, and a couple cool little tricks and little secrets from Gene Hugard. So let me know in the comments, what would you do if you could read minds? What would you use that power for? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching. If you want more, you can check out the membership for some exclusive content. Pick up some merch from the Magic merch store. I also have a journal for magicians. You can check out all those links below. And if you want more free content, check out the video that YouTube is recommending to you right now. And until next time, keep enjoying your magic, stay a hobbyist at heart, and I will see you guys in the next video.